آله وصحبه أجمعين أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. When I look at a lot of the university students in the West today, I see in front of you guys a big challenge. You guys are in a position where Allah Azza wa Jal has blessed you. You guys have the opportunity to wake up in safety and to come here and to study. And you may downplay this, but that in and of itself is a massive blessing. Oftentimes in life we take these things as granted. The peace and security in life, the ability to open your fridge and to find it full of food. And yeah, it's cliche to say, be grateful for your blessings, but have you ever taken a moment to pause and to thank Allah for what you have and the situation that you are in? You see, if you're a person that can wake up, that can travel wherever they want, and that has money to go and travel and spend, you are amongst the top 15% of the world's most wealthiest people. The top 15%. If you have more health and sickness today, then you are better than the 3 billion people who cannot read, cannot see, and will not survive the rest of this week. Think about that. Think about all the people who do not have what you have. Wallahi, actually contemplate upon it and think about this. So the very first thing is that you should recognize what you have is a blessing. And oftentimes we look at our lives in a way to validate our sadness, in a way to validate the fact that we don't have something, or we're not fulfilled, or we're not happy. But rather we should look at our lives in a way to think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us in so many ways. Every single one of us is going through some type of difficulty, whatever type of hardship it is. At university, a lot of you guys, your hardships are mainly based around relationships, career, what you guys want to do. Now these are very good problems to have. A lot of people do not have these opportunities. And I look at the young people in front of me and I look at you guys at this crossroads in life. You have choices now. Oftentimes I see brothers in my own local community and I see how university changed them. One kid who is, memorizing 20 juz of Quran goes to university and he ends up, changing his gender. Another person goes to university as someone who is so far away from Allah and the religion, and he is now a hafiz of Quran in Medina studying with his wife and 2 kids there. But all of it comes down to one thing. Your future is shaped by what you do in private. Your future is shaped by what you think in private. It's very easy to come in front of everyone right now, put on a front. We all wear masks, every single one of us. We have a mask that we wear in front of our friends. We have a mask that we wear at home at times. We have a mask that we wear at the masjid for Jum'ah. But the mask that you cannot wear is the one where you look at yourself in the mirror when it's only you and you alone. That there is the time where you have to ask yourself the critical question. What is going through my mind? Who am I? And what do I aspire to be? What do I want in life? Everything comes down to what you allow to influence you. What do you want to achieve? What do you want to be? What do you want to do in your life? Everything comes down to the fact that when you open up your screens, what do you see? What's the first thing there? What's the very first thing that you see when you open up your phone in the morning? Your alarm wakes you up and then straight away you're scrolling. What are you allowing to influence you? You see, the man that you see in the mirror when you're 35, 40 and 50, that is a reflection of all of the decisions and choices that you used to make when you were younger. And at university, it's very easy to put a front on in front of other people. It's very easy to put a front on and look at your friends and them to look back at you and have fun and smile and laugh and joke, and you guys know all about the fake banter that happens. But then you have to ask yourself the question, who am I? Who am I and what are the choices that I am making? I'll tell you guys something. In my local community, we used to think this brother, he comes to the masjid, he's okay, he's fine. Don't you make that assumption all the time? Yeah, they come to the ISOC events, yeah, they come to the prayer room, they're okay, they're fine, you're sorted. Wallahi, some people are fighting internal battles that you have no idea about. They are fighting a struggle that you have no idea about. And therefore, When I think about your time here at university, it's make or break. It's a choice that you have to make now of what you are going to allow to influence you, what you are going to allow to pass through your eyes and ears on a daily basis. So yes, some of you may leave this lecture and you may go to the party that's happening on Friday night. You're thinking, let me see what this lecture is all about. Or you may be someone that doesn't go to the party and you think, I want to take my life seriously. I want to thank Allah for the blessings that He gave me, and I heard something so beautiful. One of the Salaf said, how can I not feel guilty after sinning? Because when I am sinning, I am using the very blessings of Allah that He gave me to sin against Him, to disobey Him. Allahu Akbar. You are using the blessings of Allah to disobey Him. The tongue that you have when it speaks bad, the eyes that you have when it sees bad, the ears that you have when it hears bad. Those are things that Allah gave you, yet you use those exact same things to disobey Him. And that's why in the beginning when I said be thankful and grateful for what you have, my beloved brothers and sisters, because you never want to reach a moment in your life or a day where you have to be put into the problems of those people who are suffering all around the world. God forbid Allah Azza wa Jal puts you in a position where you wake up on a daily basis and you don't know where your next meal is coming from. God forbid Allah puts you in a position where your parents are endangered to be killed tomorrow. You don't know if you're going to live to see tomorrow. That's real problems. That's real difficulty. Wallahi, those are real challenges. And so for us living in the West, we have luxury problems. Luxury problems of which direction to take our future in, which person to marry, which text we should reply back to. Luxury problems. And so recognize your blessings. But at the same time, do not use those same blessings to sin against Allah Azza wa Jal. Do not use your time at university that Allah has blessed you with to sin against Him. You can come to university and you can easily be a person who comes here, gets their heads down, focuses and locks in. Or you can become a person that comes to university and you use this time at university to flirt, to catch feelings, to speak to the opposite gender, to basically see how you can mess around, to go to different parties. Some of you guys are away from your parents for the first time in your life. Now there's that door of freedom, and now you're going to use that opportunity to explore, to do all the other things. Wallahi, sometimes you may make a choice in life that there is no reverse from, that there is no coming back from, because you've seen too much, you've heard too much, you've done too much. But I want to share one piece of advice with every single one of you. No matter how far you have gone away from Allah Azza wa Jal, it is only one moment of deep reflection and contemplation that will turn your heart back to Allah, and Allah will forgive every single one of your sins. Repentance isn't complicated. Oftentimes we think to ourselves, how can I turn to Allah? And we start mentioning these things in Islamic lectures, and you might hear it on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube. Turn back to Allah. Okay, but how? What do I do? What's the practical step? Wallahi, it's as simple as taking a moment by yourself, lowering your head and just saying, Ya Allah, I'm sorry. That's it. Allah doesn't need sophisticated speech or words for you to internalize your regret and your remorse over the sins that you have committed. Allah doesn't need complicated speech or articulated words or perfectly memorized du'as. Wallahi, there could be a person who could be barely able to speak, yet this person turns to Allah Azza wa Jal in humility, in absolute sheer humility, and he says, Oh Allah, I'm sorry, forgive me. And it's as simple as that. This is your roadmap and compass. When you walk into your home, you find a peace and comfort. If you've traveled away and you come home, you're on a car journey, you're about to enter your house and your bedroom, what do you find? There's something in your heart that you have that you cannot explain. It's this overwhelming feeling of tranquility and peace. That is your home. That is where your comfort is. That is where you are most comfortable. Every single one of us has to find a home with Allah Azza wa Jalla. Let me say that again. Every single one of us has to find a home with Allah. What is a home with Allah Azza wa Jalla? A place where you feel comfort, A place where all your worries, they may not disappear, but they become easier. A place where every single one of you can say to yourself, this is my peace and security. For many people that could be opening the book of Allah. For others it could be in sujood. For others it could be when you are simply just sitting in the masjid and contemplating, and you just sat there and you allow your heart and your mind to just think on a deeper level. Life is fast paced, guys. Life is only going to get faster. Life is only going to get busier. Life is only going to get more hectic the older you get. It's not going to get quieter. It's not going to slow down. You think after university things are going to slow down? It's fast paced now. You got your exams. No. Life only adds to the responsibilities as you leave university, as you grow, as you become older. The responsibilities just start adding up. It's just that the problems change. Marriage, rent, house, all these things. Okay, fine. I need to look after this. I need to take care of this. The problems change and they accelerate and they get more and more and more and more and more. Life is never going to slow down. So if there is ever a time in your life to turn back to Allah, the time is now. The time is now. As they say, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. Now, in these critical years of your life, you have a conscious decision. And this is a conscious decision, guys. Let me explain to you how it works. I see two guys in my local area. I speak to them. They're both same age, went to the same school, but they're worlds apart. One person, every time Islam is mentioned, it's like some kind of a joke to him. It's like he's just flirting with the idea. It's like he's not too serious about it. He's just thinking about it. He's just, okay, yeah, cool, Islam, whatever. The other person, you mention something that Allah and His Messenger say, and this guy's skin begins to, tremble. The hairs on his neck, on the back of his neck they stand. He starts to feel this sense of awe and haiba whenever Allah and His Messenger are mentioned. And that comes from one unique characteristic, and that is to take life on a deeper level. Understand life on a deeper level. When do we get time to think about life on a deeper level? We can barely get past a 10-second video on TikTok without scrolling off. By Allah, I have seen young people in the West today, they are literally scrolling. It's just like that. It's like that. It's become some type of a disease, a habit. When do we get time to sit and to contemplate? When do we get time to actually reflect? When do we get time to ourselves to start thinking about life on a deeper level? When you do that, when you start to actively embrace the silence, when you start to actively take control of the narrative of this world and go against it, you will find a sense of tranquility and peace that you cannot find anywhere else. I'm not saying don't go on social media. I'm not saying don't use a mobile phone. You live in the West, these are part and parcel of daily life now. All I am saying to you is never allow these things to become a distraction that then turns into a habit that then lives with you for the rest of your life. You're 18, 19, 20, 21 now. If you've got this habit right now, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to exacerbate as you get older. Now is the time where you take a conscious decision to slow things down, to think about life on a deeper level, to think about where you are going wrong, to think about how far you have gone from Allah Azza wa Jal. And that's why for me, being here with you guys today is very, very unique, because all of you are at a crossroad right now. You may have a sin that I don't know about. And I know there are sins that you do, and there are sins that I do that we do not talk about. And we are too ashamed to speak about. Whatever it may be, just know one thing. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, whoever gives up something for the sake of Allah, Allah will replace it with something better. I'll give you guys my example. When I was younger, 16, 17 years old, I gave up most things, but one of the things that was very difficult for me was music. The love of music was in my heart. And I tried transitioning into kind of, music, nasheed and Sami Yusuf and Maher Zain. I tried all of that, etc., right? It became harder and I became more and more stuck because I was just, vibing to the beat all the time. It was something that I really enjoyed. Long story short, There was a lecture that I heard. In the lecture, it said, these music nasheeds are haram. I said, this guy's an extremist. This guy is, he's not allowing people to have fun. He's too much, whatever, etc. So guess what I did? I didn't grapple with that. Don't grapple with technicalities of fiqh rulings. I spent the next year getting closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. The more closer I got, the more love I had for Allah, the more I got closer to Him, naturally I felt a sense in my heart that if Allah does not want this for me, and maybe you could debate it, but if Allah doesn't want this for me, I'm going to give it up for His sake, for Him. I love Him, He created me. I'm spending my day and night worshipping Him. I mean, Allah and religion and Islam is the greatest affair and topic ever. It's the most important thing in life. How is it that we in the West have become so godless to the point where we now start to think that there is something more significant than the topic of God and religion? On a level, why have we now made the topic of God and religion something that we smirk at? Do you think you were created from nothing? Do you think that a sperm drop is able to create itself? Do you think that the planet Earth is spinning by itself? This floating rock in the middle of the cosmos? Do you think that, subhanAllah, just 2 weeks ago in August, at the end of August, we had a mini heat wave? Just 2 weeks later, just the Earth just tilts back a little bit and now it's cold. Do you really believe that there was no one that created that? That there was no one that fashioned that? That there was no one that made that? Now think about the fact that how much importance have you placed on the topic of God and religion, on the topic of Allah? What place does Allah have in your life? Why is Allah not a central figure in our heart, in our mind, in our conversations? Why is it reduced to just lectures and a khutbah and maybe a few reels on Instagram and TikTok that we save but never watch ever again? The topic of religion and Allah and Islam, it is, as we say, amrun azim. It is the greatest affair in this life. It is the greatest thing in this world. It is the most important thing in this world. It is a thing that you can never ever put anything more significant on top of this. Nothing else will ever beat this in terms of significance. So why have we reduced it to mere a lecture and just something that we don't take any interest in? This is why when we speak about Islam, wallahi, I speak about it with absolute pride. I will go outside and by Allah, I will see these non-Muslims, and I have spent time with non-Muslims, and I have seen the depth of their conversations. And what are their conversations full of? Backbiting, cheesy, stupid banter that, no one really cares about, ridiculously stupid topics. Nowadays, when I eavesdrop on some of these non-Muslims, what are they talking about? Oh, her, her Instagram post, I think she's just all up herself and this and that. That's what it's all about. Wallahi, even with guys, I sometimes hear some of these guys, etc., talking about it, like, yeah, you know what it is, man, oh man, yeah, I didn't get a reshare, this and that. I'm thinking about, subhanAllah, like, as in, you guys aren't talking about, like science, or you guys aren't talking about something, an intellectual discussion or something important, and even that, without context, it means nothing. We are talking about Allah, Islam, and the religion. We are talking about something that is not going to impact you just in this world, but going to impact you forever. Think about it. We're talking right now about a topic and a subject that will affect your hereafter. Small actions today, small temporary time, 80, 90 years. Give it 80, 90 years, no problem. Out of that 80, 90 years, you probably spend about 30 years in education and work. Out of those 80, 90 years, you probably spend another 30 years sleeping. You probably have 10 years spare to yourself. This small 10 years, you're going to spend that time there, that 10 years, on what? Nothing? Use that time wisely, but guess what happens? Now is the opportunity in your life to take hold of that subject of God, religion and Islam, and to really hone in. To really press in, lean into it now. This is the time. As the Prophet ﷺ said, the one who gives up something for the sake of Allah, Allah will replace it with something better. Believe in this promise, my beloved brothers and sisters, because let me tell you something, when you remove friends from your life, when you remove friends, when you remove people who are not good for you, you will always find that you become a better person as a result. I know it's hard. I know it's not easy. I know that cutting friends off isn't always easy. You have to make a conscious decision and put yourself first. You have to. Wallahi, you have to. Honestly speaking, I look at certain people. I'm just talking about money right now, finances. Certain people, they will, for example, be on low income and get benefits from the government, etc. And then what ends up happening is that these people, they will always think that there's a cap, a ceiling to how much you can earn. Until you spend time with people who are thinking on a different level, who are thinking on a much higher level, you will always think that there's a ceiling. When you start hanging out with people who go to the gym once a week and they're lazy, yeah, you're going to be like that. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. If you're the most religious person in the room, you're in the wrong room. You need to understand that you need to surround yourself with people who are going to level up your life. The people who are going to take you from here to there. The people who are going to accelerate your growth. Change your circle. Believe me, guys, that's the biggest tip that I will give every single one of you. You think about a crossroad right now, you're thinking about make or break, you're thinking about your future, your kids, everything that's going to come in 15, 20, 30 years time. Start right now by removing those people in your circle that aren't good for you. Start right now by removing those people in your circle who are not going to aspire you to become better. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, Al-mar'u ala dini khalili. A man is upon the path of his close friend. فَلْيَنْظُرُ أَحَدُكُمْ مَنْ يُخَالِلُ. Now, be very vigilant and be careful as to who you take as your close friends. So, in this time at university now, you have a clear choice. And that is, you will be the average of the 5 people you spend the most amount of time with. So now choose your 5 friends wisely. Maybe you don't have 5 friends, maybe you have 1 friend. That's probably even worse. Because sometimes that 1 friend could be the 1 friend that takes you off track. But if you are hanging out with people who are better than you, that's the right friend. Someone who's going to encourage you and take you to Jannah. Someone who, when you stand in front of Allah on the day of judgment and that royal appointment happens, both of you can look at each other and say, we made it. We made it. Why? Because it was at university where you came into my life. It was at university in those critical years you helped me. Wallahi, there's some people that they watch my videos online and they send me a message 4 or 5 months later. They say, I watched your video, I became Muslim, etc. It was just one thing that I heard. I'm thinking, I'm preaching to people for years sometimes and they don't listen. What is it? It's the humility in the heart, my beloved brothers and sisters. Wallahi, it's the humility in the heart. Allow your heart to become humble. Allow your heart to become humble. Allow your heart to absorb this information right now. As you absorb this information, internalize it. These aren't just words that you just let in one ear and out the other. These are words that you absorb, that you take on, that you start questioning, that you start introspecting. You look at yourself, you observe the mistakes, where you are going wrong. You look at yourself in terms of your relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal, and you take these words and you allow it to pierce and enter your heart. That's what we have to do, guys. That's genuinely what we have to do. We can't sit idly and think that life is going to change on its own. We have to take proactive steps. All the answers are out there. The hadith is here, the Quran is here. It's all there for us to see. Google it, research it, take it off the bookshelf. It's all there. One determining factor is those who take action versus those who don't. After this talk, will you take action? Or will it just be another cute little reminder that you saved on TikTok and Instagram and that's it, keep scrolling? The habit of scrolling is now affecting us in real life as well. We're people who are come to lectures, but nothing enters our heart. Boys, brothers, sisters, think about life on a deeper level. Think about life on a more critical level, on a higher level now. Take your life more seriously, because like I've said, 15, 20, 30 years from now, you're going to look back at this point. Wallahi, I swear by Allah, there will be moments 30 years from now where you will look back and think, because of what happened at university, that's why I am here right now. Because of what happened at university, that's why I am here right now. And there's 3 main things that you need to take care of while you're at university. The number 1 thing we've already spoken about is about your religion. And again, find those companions, find those friends. The second thing is your relationships. You see, this topic here is very, very difficult to address because so many of you are in different places right now. Some of you, Maybe coming to university and you look, let's just call it out as it is. You're looking for love, you're looking for comfort, you're looking for a relationship. I get it, I'm not here to shut you down, right? It's natural to feel like this. It's natural to be inclined to this. At the end of the day, how did we get here, right? We're here because, our parents had us. So it's not something that's averse or it's weird for Muslims. Love is a part of Islam, and Islam is open about these things. Islam doesn't shut it down. Islam just says go through the right channels, that's all. And I'm not even going to try and play it down for you guys. At the end of the day, when you're in these environments, you're thinking about marriage. Your body is now at that stage where you're now thinking about your future, you're thinking about children, you're thinking about your life, you're thinking about love, companionship, comfort, all these things in a spouse. Okay, that's fine, nothing wrong with that. How do you go about it? Here's my simple advice. When you are in your first year, do not think about marriage at all whatsoever. Whatsoever. It will ruin your studies. Ask anyone who focused on a romantic pursuit in the first year if they are happy about it or if they regret it when they're older. Most of them say they regret it. Do you know what percentage of people marry their first love? 1% of people in America marry their first love. So clearly there's something wrong there. Dating doesn't really seem to be working. Why? Because if it did work, you would marry your first love. Well, see, here's the problem. We're thinking that we can figure it out all on our own. The reality is a lot of you have come from different areas of the UK and you may find love here, but guess what? The reality is you do not know this other person. You do not know who they are. And now it's a wild goose chase trying to hide things from your parents, trying to hide things from other people at university, and then to try and basically get into a romantic pursuit. And then what ends up happening is that you get heartbroken because things don't work out, or she's a Palestinian and you're a Pakistani, or she's from this and you're from this, and you don't know how it's going to work out. You're going into the unknown, you don't have much money. The problems keep stacking up. So what is the solution to all of this? Should you just forget about love? I'm not saying that. I'm saying for the first year at least, forget about it. Absolutely lock it off. Even in the second year, don't think about it. As you come into the third year, how should you navigate this space? If you are part of the ISOC, and if you are part of an Islamic environment here, and there is someone that you like, or there is someone who catches your eye, brothers or sisters, etc., there is nothing wrong with you approaching that person in a respectful way, maybe through a third person, or through somebody else, or whatever have you, etc. See, the worst thing that can happen is you have a casual flirtatious relationship, exchange Snapchats, and then basically fall into this romantic, basically whirlwind, where you are now hiding this relationship, keeping it a secret, and it's now distracting you from your studies and distracting you from your religion. That's what will end up happening. You do not have control over your heart, believe me. You do not have control over what happens. The heart is an incredibly confusing muscle, and it's an incredibly confusing part of your body. And sometimes what ends up happening is that your heart will take you into places where you never ever thought you would go. You never thought you would fall for this person. You never thought that this person is going to be the person that you would end up falling for. It just sometimes just happens randomly. Therefore you need to protect it. Therefore you need to put fortresses and barriers around it. But then in your mind, oh, how am I going to find someone? Where am I going to get married? Am I going to get married to Auntie G's son or Auntie G's daughter? And this is going to happen. I get it. These thoughts are happening. But you need to do one thing. And that is that Allah Azza wa Jalla will bring someone into your life if you are sincere with Him and make sincere dua that I will do what you want me to do. Ya Allah, just help me get married. Oh Allah, make it easy for me. Wallahi, if you make this dua with true sincerity, Allah will open the doors up for you. Allah will open the doors up for you. As Allah says in the Quran, when my servant asks of me, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي, then he says, فَإِنِّي قَرِيب, I am near to him, I am close to him. Guys, this is not spiritual mumbo jumbo. Believe me when I say this to you, the dua that you make with sincerity, with ikhlas, your heart pouring out, and you make this dua to Allah, oh Allah, make it easy for me to get married. Not in it. You don't make a dua like you're reading a script for an interview, or you're reading a script to introduce somebody, or you're reading. Or it's not a job interview. This is not a CV here. Make a dua, even if it's messy, even if you can't, even if you're blabbering half the words, even if you're crying half the way through. You make this dua with sincerity. Allah Azza wa Jalla will open doors, and He will answer you in three ways. Allah Azza wa Jalla will either give you what you want, or Allah Azza wa Jalla will give it to you on the Day of Judgment. Okay? He will give it to you on the day of Judgment, or He will give you something better in return. And when He gives you something better, you thank Allah. Oh Allah, I'm so grateful and glad that you didn't give me what I wanted. Because if things don't go your way, the Salaf used to be happy. Why? Because if things go your way, that's just your logic and your determination and your insight. But if things don't go your way, that's Allah rerouting your path, and He knows the unseen. So He knows what's best for you. Maybe this pursuit of this other person may not be the right thing for you. Maybe behind this person is lifelong of misery. Maybe behind this person is a door that you wish you had never ever opened. What is a determining factor? What is a single variable that makes it all make sense to you? It is being sincere with Allah. Wallahi, brothers and sisters, I will tell you one thing, that if you can hone in on this one variable, your life will change. Your life will truly change. And understand me here for a second. If you become sincere with Allah, what do I mean by sincere with Allah? What does this mean? This means, yes, I make mistakes. Yes, I'm a sinner. Yes, I've got flaws. I know Allah, I make mistakes. But oh Allah, all I want to do in my life is please you. That's all I want to do. And yeah, I will mess up. I will make mistakes. But Allah, I want to do what you want me to do. Maybe I don't do it perfectly. Maybe sometimes I slack. But Allah, I want to do what you want to do. Oh Allah, if I disobey you, it hurts my heart. Oh Allah, if I sin and if I do wrong, oh Allah, my heart becomes weak. My heart starts to feel constrained. That's sincerity. You want nothing but to please Allah. You have that relationship with Allah. You speak to Him, you talk to Him, you love Him because He created you. He gave you everything. Your mother, your father, your parents, your house, your home, your face, your mouth, your toes, your ears, your nose, your lips, your feet, your hand, everything He gave you. Everything He gave you. You gave this to me, Ya Allah. I want to please you. I want to please you for the rest of my life. That's all I want. I don't care what happens, as so long as you're pleased with me, that's all I care about. This is sincerity. You may not understand what this relationship will turn into 15, 20 years from now. Wallahi, people whenever they marry because they are in love. Do you think when they get divorced, they thought that they were going to get divorced? Never. But it happens. And sometimes their life is better, sometimes their life is worse. But the point being is that if you are sincere with Allah, He will never do you wrong. As the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "Ajaba li amr al-mu'min." Strange is the affair of the believer. Strange is the affair of the believer. If something bad happens to him, then what? Then what? What happens is this is good for him. And if something good happens to him, then that is good for him, because the evil and the bad is a way for him to become patient. And the good things that happen to him are a way for him to become grateful. وَلَا لِأَحَدٍ إِلَّا لِلْمُؤْمِنِ. But this does not happen for anyone except the sincere believer. By the depth of your sincerity, Allah will be determining your life in your favor. Listen to that again. By the depth of your sincerity with Allah, Allah will be determining your life in your favor. So what does this mean? What's the opposite of this? If you detach yourself from Allah, if you take Islam as a joke, if you do not practice your religion properly, you will also find that perhaps your trials and your pain is purely a punishment. It could just be a punishment from Allah, but that punishment is there to make you turn back to Allah. Whereas all your tests and all your worries and all your anxiety and stress and pain right now could be a means of Allah purifying you and rerouting you and shaping your life into something that you never thought it would be. How often is it that we say this statement, wow, if I hadn't gone through that, then I wouldn't have this. I say it regularly. I look at, subhanAllah, this last year for me has just been a roller coaster ride. Certain people that I wanted to get into business with, do a deal with, do something with, when it didn't go my way, believe me guys, I was pulling my hair out. I was, subhanAllah, I was in sujood for this one business deal. I said, Ya Allah, this is it. I'm gone clear after this. Like, if this happens, it's all over, it's done. It's a wrap. Like, I need this to work out, Ya Allah, come on, Ya Allah, you know what I want to do with the money, you know what I want to build, what I want to do, I really, really need this, Ya Allah. And I'm there like begging Allah so much. I'm so engrossed in this dua. Like, this is what I want so bad. It doesn't happen. You see, when it doesn't happen, my body started I felt I had to calm down, I had to just slow down. What is going on right now? Because I really, really thought this would happen. Wallahi, a few months later, I look back and that person that I was going to do business with, he goes and screws somebody else over. I'm thinking to myself, subhanallah, subhanallah. Sometimes Allah slows you down so that He allows the evil ahead of you to pass before you get there. Remember that your delay could mean your protection. Your delay could mean your protection. Allah destroys your plans because He knows that your plans are going to destroy you. And therefore, whenever you look at relationships at universities, you will always find that in front of you lies a door. Once opened, you have no idea what is behind it. So wallahi, take this as a stamp in your heart that you will allow Allah to guide your decisions. You will allow Allah to help you. Therefore, if you do things in a good, halal, proper way, if you do things in a way that pleases Allah, Allah will open doors for you and will put barakah in it for you. But imagine you could do a sly one. You're sly, cunning, conniving, hiding it from your parents, thinking that you're going to get blessings in it. Do you really think that's the case? You really think that's the case? You try to trick Allah, thinking that Allah's going to do things in your favor? This is why people say to me, what should I do? I'm in this relationship. I'm like, okay, have you spent time focusing on the relationship with Allah Azza wa Jalla? Have you genuinely spent time on that? Yeah, I pray every night. Okay. Even when certain sisters want to wear the abaya and the hijab and they're struggling, whatever, etc. What's the answer? Oh, yes, buy it from, Shein because it's cheap now. Like, there's nothing that I could tell you guys. I don't have the answers to that. I have one answer. That one answer is this, wallahi. That is, get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. Find that love with Him. Build a connection and a relationship that is stronger than any other external factor in your life, and you will naturally find yourself covering up for His sake. Because you're not doing it for me, you're not doing it for your friend, you're not doing it for him, or you don't do it for anyone else. You're doing it for yourself, and you're doing it for Allah Azza wa Jalla. That's it. That is it. When you do something for the sake of Allah, when you give up something for the sake of Allah, Allah will replace it with something better. So for me to give you answers, I actually don't have all the answers. I don't have all the tips and techniques and skills and here's the 3 ways to do this. I don't have that. Wallahi, there's one answer. And that one answer is find love with Allah Azza wa Jal. Get your heart closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. Open the book of Allah and read the translation on a regular basis. Find that comfort with your Lord, and you will naturally find things in your life going in your favor, even if you think it's bad right now. Did you know that the legislation of alcohol did not come until many years later? The legislation of hijab did not come until many years later. Now why is this? Allah could have said, in the beginning, alcohol is haram, hijab is fard. Why? Aisha radiallahu anha, she said, had the ayat about prohibiting alcohol and the ayat of hijab and the ayat prohibiting zina and the ayat of these, the rules and regulation, if they were the first things that were revealed, no one would have stopped it, because the hearts were not ready to receive the revelation. Didn't I say this to you? When I wanted to give up music, what happened? Did I try and grapple with that music and try and just give it up? No. I spent a year focusing on my relationship with Allah Azza wa Jalla. And that's what every single one of you have to do. Every single one of you have to spend this time at university with your ambitious, academic pursuits, and coupled with a pursuit of a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the way you can do this is very simple. Cut off your friends. Move your circle out and move a new circle in. Become friends, come to events, go to the masjid, read the Quran. You know all the answers. You see enough TikTok videos. You watch enough Instagram reels. You don't need me to tell you these things, guys. You already know what the answers are. It's all about one thing that I said, taking action. Those that take action, opposed to those that do not take action, you will find that those that consistently take action in their life, wallahi, 20, 30 years from now, you will find that their life will be so much different. Or you can sit and think about it, and keep thinking about it, and then keep being lazy. Because one of the biggest problems with students is laziness and procrastination. You leave everything to the last minute. Everything until right till the end. There's no flame in you. There's no desire. There's no burning edge. That there is something that we all need to take care of. Every single one of us has this, by the way. When it comes to time for salah, we leave it to the last minute. I do it. We all do it. We all make the mistake. But what we have to do is surround ourselves with people who are better than us. Wallahi, sometimes I'm in the masjid and there's a 16-year-old kid who's memorized the Quran, and it's time for salah or whatever, etc. Or even if we're outside, we're not in the masjid or whatever, comes time for salah, I'm thinking, Asr, we've got 3 hours left, but it's summer, chill. Yeah, no, it's time, chill. But then I'm thinking, subhanAllah, he's putting me to shame. Look at that. On it. He's there. He wants to pray. He wants to. But you know what? Guess what I should do in that moment there? I should spend more time with him. But what do we do? This girl wears the abaya and the hijab, or maybe she wears a niqab. Oh, stay away from her. She's too religious. Or these brothers have beards, or these brothers are too practical, or they're too much for me. Why do we have this attitude? He's too much for me. Well, we have that attitude. Why? Because we are too happy being comfortable. When you are too happy being comfortable, you will not grow. Your comfort zone is the biggest limiting factor in your life. When you remove yourself from the comfort zone and you put yourself into a zone of transformation, yes, you will be uncomfortable. I'm not going to lie. It might sting a little bit. It might hurt your ego. But that's where your humility comes into it. Wallahi, I need to change. Wallahi, I need to get better. Wallahi, I need to get closer to Allah Azza wa Jal. I need to become better. That there, when you can accept that you need to become better, that's when you will change. That's when the religious people won't look so scary. That's when the ISOC prayer room won't look too bad. That's when you see the religious videos, you will save them and you will act upon them. That's when you won't take it to heart. You won't take it too personally. Why? Because you are on a pursuit of growth. But when you are just comfortable, focused on your own ego, don't want to move, don't want to grow, don't want to get better, believe me, you will stay in that position until your heart changes. Or maybe Allah will do something to bring you to your knees. Don't let that be the day that you wake up and you realize that you have to change. Wallahi. Take the steps now while you are at university, while you have the opportunity to change your friends around you. Because the last thing that every single one of you needs is resilience. Is ulu al-himma, high aspirations, firm resolve. Every single one of you needs to be determined. Every single one of you needs this. And that's why I said, you need to shift your mind a little bit now. You need to shift your mind. You need to shift your mindset. You need to think very, very differently, guys. And it's not going to happen overnight, and it's going to take time. As I said, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. Make that change in your life and watch how Allah Azza wa Jal opens up doors for you. I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make our life that which is pleasing to Him. Oh Allah, allow us to be grateful to you. Oh Allah, allow us to remember you. And oh Allah, allow us to worship you in the best way. Allahumma a'inni ala dhikrika wa shukrika wa husni ibadatika ya Rabbil Alamin.